All right, so you do the Elite 11. You see a lot of these quarterbacks in the NFL. You see them in high school. You're to a point now where almost every guy in the NFL, all these young guys, Trent, you see them at 16, 17, 18 years old. I don't know much about the Fresno State kid Carr, who now is going to be the Raiders' starting quarterback. I saw him in a bowl game against USC, and he looked a little overwhelmed. So the Raiders name Derek Carr starting quarterback. Is he a franchise guy to finally turn that mess around?
Oh, he's got franchise talent. I think we should start there. He's a guy that when you watch him throw a football, he just doesn't look the part. He looks like an elite guy throwing the football. He's got incredible arm talent. He's super efficient. He's twitchy with his motion. I mean, everything just happens fast. Can threat in all areas of the field. He's got really good feet. So from a talent standpoint, yes. He's definitely a guy you can build your franchise around. I think the questions with Derek were kind of his pocket awareness, some of the intangible things that they were kind of polarizing looking at Derek coming out. Now, I think he has the mental and emotional makeup, very good player. I thought he needed to be handled delicately with the Raiders his first year, that there needed to be a transition time for him to adapt to the NFL game, to sit back and watch the NFL game. And obviously that's not going to happen. I was afraid of this exact scenario, that when he would go to practice, go to training camp, that the coaching staff, that the other players would sit there and their jaws would drop every day watching him throw next to Matt Schaub. Matt Schaub is not a super talented thrower, but he's a very, very good football player. Derek Carr is going to, like, this analogy is going to be like watching a drag race between a sports car and a Toyota Camry. The difference between Schaub and Derek Carr throwing a football in practice. And, of course, you're going to jump in the sports car. Winning football games many times, the Camry car.
All right, hold on. Hold on 1 second, Trent. Pick that up, Vince. We got to get a better phone line with Trent Dilfer right now. We got to make sure it's a better phone line. I think what he's saying is what people are saying about Derek Carr, the Raiders starter, is he's an unbelievable arm talent. But there's so much more to this league. And by the way, Jamarcus Russell, they said, now I don't know if this is true, but this is what they said, that Jamarcus Russell from his knees could throw it 70 yards. Now, that's what they said. It's one of those, maybe it was an urban legend, but I heard it from various people, that he was so – I saw Jamarcus Russell play his first college game at LSU. I was just happened to be there live. You're like, oh, he doesn't even look like a quarterback. He looked like a defensive end. Could throw it down the field on a frozen rope. Couldn't play in the league. So I think what Trent's saying is Derek Carr is the kind of guy that you – at the hotel lobby – and throwing the football down the field, it's like, wow. But what happens is poorly run businesses or blown away by talent and don't have the right culture, the right system, then they jam guys in on the wow factor and they're just not ready to play. And I'll say it again. I'm a big believer in – Trent told me something years ago about this sport, and I've never forgotten this. And Steve Young has echoed these similar comments about being a quarterback in the NFL, is that there's a reason that a lot of these Florida, USC, Ohio State quarterbacks are great in college but not in the pro, like Matt Leinart and Vince Young. Because when you play at a national powerhouse, you have all these great players around you and in front of you. Matt Leinart never got touched at USC. And Trent told me this years ago. He goes, in the NFL, the first thing Trent said to look for, can a guy throw in what they call a dirty pocket? He's in the pocket, and there's just all sorts of activity around him, and he's not used to it. Vince Young never got sacked. Matt Leinart never got sacked. Jimmy Clausen doesn't get touched. Greg McElroy doesn't get touched. So as I bring Trent Dilfer back on, I want you to go to the young quarterbacks, Bortles, Bridgewater, Johnny Manziel, Carr. You told me you watch for guys if they can throw in a muddy or a dirty pocket. I watched Bortles, and I thought, that guy looks like he'll make it in the NFL. Have any of the young guys jumped out to you?
Yeah, sorry about that bad connection. Bortles, to me, we call them conflict plays. You can really boil down their college evaluations to how many plays they play in conflict. And then you start watching preseason football and you kind of look for the same thing. Bortles, very good pocket manipulation, the subtle slides, throwing people in his face. Derek actually made big strides in training camp, and I think that was the big thing that people were looking for him with Derek Carr was would he be able to play in that muddy pocket, because so much of what he did his last couple of years at Fresno was catch and throw in the spread system. And there were some games like USC where he looked a little fidgety in the pocket. Manziel's a guy that I don't think he's ever going to do that. He's going to take maybe one little hitch and slide up in the pocket, and if the guy's not there, then he's going to try to use athleticism. And I think you just have to embrace that style of play. There's going to be some scramble around sack fumbles, and there's going to be some stuff that's going to be on SportsCenter top 10. You just have to take the good with the bad. And then Bridgewater has very good pocket instincts, and he wants to stay in the pocket, and he likes that conflict play. He's just not real physically strong, and I think he's going to struggle at times in the pocket when it starts collapsing on him, just a lack of physical strength. But that's something he can address in the weight room, and as he gets a little bit older, every man in his mid-20s kind of hits another strength growth spurt where they gain some physical confidence in their strength, and if he's working hard in the weight room, that can be changed. So, but yeah, you nail it. You nail it on the head. It's really about how these guys are going to play in conflict, whether they're going to be successful in the NFL or not.
Yeah, I saw Blaine Gabbert, and I remember seeing the first couple of series. I'm like, he doesn't like to get hit. And I saw Jimmy Clausen, and I'm like, he doesn't feel comfortable. I've always clung to that as the one thing you said. It's the one thing I always look for. Jay Cutler does. He can sit in that pocket, guys around him, banging off him, make the throws. Now, I haven't talked to you much about Johnny Manziel. You know what's funny about him, and I know he makes a lot of plays, Trent, but he doesn't look like a gifted arm talent to me. Like he'll throw behind guys. His arm's okay, but, my eyeballs tell me he'll make some plays, but, boy, he is small, at least on television. What do you see?
I just think it's going to be a roller coaster ride. And I said this in his evaluation. I wouldn't bet against him. The guy lives to compete, and he does have some traits that are uncoachable. And there's a school of thought that that's enough. I just think in this highlight-educated generation of football fan, where really what you know about the Cleveland Browns, if you're not in Cleveland, is what you get on highlights. That you're going to go, wow, Johnny Manziel, it's unbelievable, because we're going to show all the stuff that only he can do, that unique gift of his to create and improvise and make these incredible plays. But you have to watch it as 65 snaps in a game, and where does his lack of stature and where does his lack of arm talent, where does his inability to sit in the pocket and go 1, 2, 3 limit the Cleveland Browns' ability to consistently march the football and move the chains and score points. Or maybe he learns to do that, and all the extra stuff is just a bonus. I just think with the type of player he is, with the lack of talent around him, if he gets on the football field, you're going to have these wild highs where it's, like I said, it's going to be SportsCenter top 10, and these incredible lows. Like the other night when he's scrambling around to his right and he fumbles the football. He gets strip sack fumble. Those are catastrophic plays in the NFL. And it's just going to be interesting if he can minimize the bad ones and those good ones help lead to points.
Trent Dilfer. I'll tell you, I watched your Elite 11 camp. I watched a ton of college football this weekend. I don't know if you guys are developing quarterbacks or if college deserves the credit, but I watched some college football this weekend, Trent, and I don't know if they'll be great NFL players. Maybe I should credit Sark and Kevin Sumlin and all these coaches. But, man, there are a lot of lively young players playing quarterback. It seems like more now than ever.
I think there's plenty of credit to be spread around. Everybody's doing a good job at every level of developing quarterbacks. I do think the biggest thing, though, if the everyday fan just wants to say, okay, what's one thing I can look at from a college kid and see if he's going to translate to the NFL, you really just need to look at what we call must-pass situations. When the defense knows they're going to throw, when they're no longer throwing on their own terms, it's not about pick and stick, easy offense, which so much of college football is. Which kids can thrive in that environment? And if you go back 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and just look at the guys that are making the NFL, they were also great in those critical downs in college football because it's a different type of position on those downs. And And that's why you're going to have a ton of guys throw for 1 billion yards in college and not translate to the NFL, because they're more a product of their system than they truly are developed great quarterbacks.
Good stuff, Trent Dilfer. We got a better phone line. Hit it out of the park. Good talking to you, bud.
See you, buddy. Sorry about that.
Saturday night, the NASCAR season comes down to Richmond. After 6 grueling months of racing, the playoffs are just a week away. Newman, Biffle, Boyer, and Kyle Larson have one more shot to lock up a spot in the all-new Chase. 43 drivers battle, 16 advance, 1 race to go. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Richmond, Saturday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on ABC, presented by AutoZone.